My name is Sadie, and I am 28 years old, and I am a housewife. I have been working for the company where I have been working all my life, but I quit the company once I found out that I got pregnant. But the year our daughter Nicole was born, my husband, Kevin, said that he was going to work as a freelancer and left the company where he has been working at. I asked him repeatedly if he had any proper income by doing the work as a freelancer. But every time I asked him, he kept on assuring me by saying, "Oh, don't worry, working as a freelance is much better than being an unrewarding company employee." And with that, he began working from home. At first, it seems that my husband's work was going well, as he was receiving jobs from multiple clients. But gradually, the amount of work orders which he would receive got really unstable. I felt that it was mentally tough to have a child while depending everything on my husband's unstable income alone. So, when our daughter turned 2 years old, I asked the company I had left to allow me to return to work as at least a part-time worker so that I can work shorter hours. And since I began my part-time job at the company, we have managed to make a stable living as a family. So, while I was at work, my husband would be the one to take care of our daughter. I was a little worried because my husband is a bit of a sloppy person who would quit his job all of a sudden. But when our daughter started kindergarten, he suggested and insisted that he would drop her off and pick her up as well from the kindergarten. Well, there is no rule that the wife should necessarily always be the one to always do the house chores, take care of the house, or take care of the child. So, like this, I convinced myself that there are many married couples with this style of marriage nowadays. But then, something feels a little off with my husband lately. I don't really know the reason why, but I have a gut feeling that there is something strange going on with my husband. My husband is always clutching onto his phone very close to him and staring at the phone screen with a huge grin on his face. And he even takes his phone into the toilet, or takes his phone while he's taking a shower or taking a bath. And now recently, he has been going out more and more compared to before. There was this one incident where my husband even went out during the day while leaving our daughter behind. And when our daughter tried to pick up something which was on a shelf, she climbed up on the chair, fell down, and broke her arm. To what had happened, I said to my husband, "Why didn't you take care and look after Nicole properly? I can't believe that you would even go out and leave Nicole all by herself." And to this, my husband said, "What? I can't even have my own time to relax by myself? What are you talking about when you put all the responsibility of raising our daughter only on me?" And he got really angry at me. "You're such a pain in the ass. Women like you make me so pissed off." Kevin would say all these kind of things just to defend himself. And to me, everything he said was completely unbelievable. It feels like my husband has completely changed his mind to another woman and does not care about me or our daughter at all. I was so shocked and stunned at the situation that I felt as if there was a huge hole in my heart, which was being filled with anger and sadness. Since that incident, my husband has been staying out frequently, not even coming back home for the night without any hesitation. saying that he had to go out to collect data for his work. The last time Kevin came back home while he stayed overnight somewhere, which he won't even tell me where he stayed the night, he clearly had a hickey on his neck, and it was so visible that it felt like as if he was trying to show it off. Seeing this, I was completely sure about what Kevin has been doing. I don't need a guy like him, and I just really want to divorce him as soon as possible. If Kevin keeps on treating me like that, he probably thinks of me as just his ATM, where he can just get money off from. When I thought like that, I was just so frustrated and disappointed that Kevin had thought of me that way. I wanted to get away from him in a way that was advantageous to me, and that would make my life stable after our divorce. So, I tried to find out more about my husband and his affair. But he was very thorough about hiding what he has been doing and what he had done, and did not leave any kind of evidence back at home. The other day, while my husband was sleeping, I secretly took his finger and opened the fingerprint authentication on his phone and looked at his phone to check his messages. But to my surprise, a conversation with the woman who seemed to be having an affair with him was nowhere to be found, as he seems to delete the chat and the data every day before going to bed. What should I do? While I was being troubled with no chance to get proof of my husband's affair, at an unexpected moment, I finally learned the whole truth about his affair. One day, suddenly, in the middle of the night, my phone rang. And that call was from the police. I had asked the police what had happened, and after hearing the police's story, it seemed that my husband had been in a car accident. My husband had rented a car, and he was the one who had caused the car accident. And not only my husband, but also a woman who was a passenger in the car was seriously injured and taken to the hospital. And that woman, I'm sure, was whom Kevin was having an affair with. On the day Kevin had left, he said that he was on a business trip for an interview for his job. But the truth was that Kevin was actually on a trip with the woman who he was cheating on me with. I almost went hysterical with anger, but I managed to calm myself down. Called my parents, asked them to take care of our daughter, and hurried to the hospital where Kevin and his mistress was. The receptionist at the hospital told me that neither Kevin nor the woman were both in life-threatening condition, which was a relief. But according to the doctor who was in charge of Kevin and the mistress, had told me that there was a possibility that my husband would not be able to walk and use his legs permanently due to the impact of the accident. And even if he recovered from his injuries, he would probably have to live his life in a wheelchair. I also asked about the condition of the woman who was in the car with Kevin. The doctor did not give me any details, but she said that the window of the car was broken and that a piece of the window glass had pierced her face, which left a huge scar on her face. The doctor also said that the woman had a neck injury from the impact of the collision, and that she was currently lying on the bed with her neck immobilized. I felt a little bit sorry for Kevin's mistress because she is a woman who now has a huge scar on her face. But at the same time, I felt in my heart that that is what she deserves, since she got karma. When I entered the hospital room, which was a 2-person room, I saw Kevin and the woman who appeared to be his mistress sleeping on the bed side by side. The nurse said that normally men and women would have separate rooms, but this was the only room available for now, which is why they were both put in the same room, because they were riding in the same car. I stood in front of the woman and looked at her face. Oh, I think I have seen her somewhere before, maybe. Then, as I thought to myself, I had realized that this woman is our daughter's kindergarten teacher. So, in other words, my husband was having an affair with the kindergarten teacher. No wonder my husband insisted at that time that he would be the one to take our daughter to and from kindergarten every day, which was pretty unusual of him to even suggest. And now that I think about it, Kevin had also insisted on going to parent-teacher conferences. And so, like this, everything made all sense to me now. My husband seemed to wake up and noticed that I was there and said, "Oh," in a quiet voice. "I knew that you were cheating on me, but I didn't really realize that you were cheating on me with our daughter's kindergarten teacher."
No. This is... Well, she is really beautiful and very nice, so I guess I couldn't really help it, you know?
My husband looked really weak as he said this, which was unlike his usual attitude and tone, probably because the doctor had already informed him that he had to live his life in a wheelchair from now on. I can't keep on going on doing this with you anymore. Let's just get a divorce.
Hey, no, wait a minute. I only just lost myself for a moment, you know? And I won't do this ever again.
No, I'm sorry, but this is not acceptable. You'd say that you wouldn't do it again, but doing it even once is just completely unacceptable.
No way. You heard everything from my doctor, didn't you? That I'm going to be in a wheelchair my whole life from now on.
Yes, so?
What do you mean, so? What the hell are you talking about? You should at least take care of me.
And why should I even do that for you? Why should I, who got cheated on by you with another woman behind my back, have to take care of you?
That's because I'm the one who's been providing for you and our daughter this whole time.
Excuse me? It's because I began to do my part-time job, we're able to make ends meet and live decently like we have been all this time. Kevin, we can't depend on your income alone because it was too unstable. Have you even forgotten the times when you were only earning $1,000 or $500 a month?
Well, that's...
Anyway, I have definitely set my mind on getting a divorce from you. I'll even request for alimony from you.
Oh, you must be crazy. You're just the worst human being ever.
And who do you think is the worst human being? You were the one who left our daughter behind all alone by herself so that you could have an affair with that woman. The mistress, who was beside Kevin, was crying out in pain when she was first brought in, and since she was giving a very strong anesthetic, she's now sleeping deeply even when Kevin and I were arguing loudly. Anyways, let's just communicate through our lawyers about what and how we are going to proceed about this. With saying that, I left the hospital room. Well, I am definitely going to be busy from now on. First comes divorce, then I'll have to also request for alimony and the child support. I have to make sure I get everything on what I was entitled to. I also went back home to my parents' place and explained to my parents about what had happened. They were both very angry with what had happened and said, "I'll take care of our grandchild, and you can also come back here now, Sadie." And the next day, I went to the kindergarten to turn in all the documents for my daughter Nicole, as she will no longer go to that kindergarten anymore. When I got there was a bit of a commotion in the kindergarten because that teacher, who was Kevin's mistress, had not arrived yet. No one would know that she was in the hospital and even sleeping in the same room as my husband. I looked at the commotion as I finished handing in the necessary documents and finished the paperwork, and I was just about to leave the kindergarten. Then, that was when Tammy, a mother to a really good friend of Nicole, came up and began talking to me. "Oh, how rare of you to be here. Your husband is the one who comes here all the time." So, I explained that my husband had been in a car accident. Then to that, Tammy said, "Oh, really? Well, I'll go visit Kevin at the hospital the next time with my husband." Using this as a great opportunity, I told her that the person who was also in the same car with Kevin was also being hospitalized in the same room. And I also told Tammy to go visit them as soon as possible, as I knew that they would be happy to see her. And so, it seems like Tammy had visited Kevin and his mistress that Saturday. At that time, Kevin and his mistress were still in the same room, which is why soon after Tammy visited the hospital, I got a call from her right away. I acted like I was crying over the phone and told Tammy that my husband was actually having an affair with the kindergarten teacher. You know, Kevin had even lied to me about going on a business trip, but actually, he had gone on a road trip together with that kindergarten teacher behind my back. And even the other day, Kevin had left our daughter Nicole at home all alone so that Kevin and that teacher could meet up with each other. So that's why I decided to get a divorce with Kevin, move back home to my parents, and move my daughter to a different kindergarten. Since Tammy has a strong sense of justice, she was outraged about what had happened and said, "That's totally unacceptable." And after that, it seems like the story quickly became known throughout the whole kindergarten. So as a result, the teacher, who was Kevin's mistress, had to quit the kindergarten. And that teacher is now suing Kevin for causing the accident, which left her face scarred for life. Then, Kevin called me once saying,
Please help me.
But, of course, I ignored him by saying, "That's none of my business anymore." I also told Kevin that the only thing I would talk to him about is the divorce and alimony and child support, and hung up the phone on him. For a while after that, Kevin was reluctant to divorce me, but his lawyer finally persuaded him into it, and he finally signed the divorce papers. After that, I took what I could get for the alimony and child support, and Kevin also agreed to the promise where he would never see my daughter at all in the future. My lawyer told me that Kevin had been whining and crying the whole time, begging my lawyer to tell me that Kevin would never do this again and that he wanted me back as his wife. If Kevin needed me like that, then he should have taken care of me properly from the beginning, and not do anything stupid and disgusting like cheating on me with another woman behind my back. I apologized to my lawyer saying, "I am truly sorry for the trouble I have caused you." Anywho, I received $30,000 from my ex-husband and $20,000 from Kevin's mistress as alimony. As for Kevin's mistress, it seems that she was very confident about how she looked, and because of that, She had no confidence anymore because of that huge, hideous scar which is now on her face, and she's no longer able to go outside that freely compared to before. Now, it seems like Kevin's mistress is back at her own parents' house, and she supposedly shut herself into her room most of the time. And as for my ex-husband, since he was hospitalized and was unable to work for a while, most of his clients are gone, and now he does not have any jobs as a freelancer anymore. Actually, it seems like Kevin was forced to pay a penalty fee because he was unable to work on some of the projects due to the accident and missed the deadline for the contract. And currently, my ex-husband is penniless and is now living at home in a wheelchair with his parents taking care of him. Being in such a situation like that and being a man who got divorced because of his own affair and what he had done, it is probably very difficult for Kevin now to be in a new relationship. This is what Kevin and his mistress deserves for what they did. And on the other hand, I was able to work with shortened hours to full-time, and then back to being a full-time employee again a year later in the company I have always been working at. And now I make enough money to even support my daughter all on my own. I will continue to work hard while watching my wonderful daughter grow up. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.